Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go, here we go.
You're listening to the Street Bullies podcast with your hosts, Derek.
Now you're gonna get it, Bobby.
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Cody.
What's not to love?
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Pod Street Bullies. My name is Derek. We are Johnless, but we have Hoagie.
Hoagie's here, and
Hoagie's
Casey
here.
will be here sometime.
Casey will be joining us momentarily. I would assume it's because he's putting the kids to sleep, something that I did with the help of something I'm not going to say, because if my wife is watching, she might kill me. Anyways, lots of stuff to get into, and by lots of stuff I mean one major thing that we are going to discuss that will likely take up a good part of this episode. I'm sure everybody listening right now, everybody that is currently listening and watching the show as well, knows exactly what we're going to talk about. That is the Hockey Canada situation. We're all very well aware as to what went down. There's no need to rehash it. We're not going to get into the graphic details. For those of you that don't, please look it up. We're not going to do that here right now. Just not the time or place. However, there have been some interesting developments in regards to the police, in regards to certain players taking leaves of absences, the reasoning behind it, and just things really starting to fall into place. The one thing that ties this all back to the Flyers here is obviously Carter Hart. So it was reported, I believe it was yesterday. Was it Tuesday that he's taken a leave of absence? Or no, it wasn't Tuesday. It was earlier today. Carter Hart is taking a leave of absence from the team.
No, it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Maybe it was Tuesday. Today's been an absolute whirlwind. I mean, I'm sure it's been the same for you, Hoagie.
It was yesterday, right before the game.
Right. And I mean, between the group chat that we're both in with Flyers High and Wide, Tie My Skates as well, Philly is Flyer, like it's I can't tell you if I really actually got any work done today regarding where I work during the day.
Yeah, yesterday and today, both. I mean, everybody's head is just, blown by, Carter Hart taking a leave of absence, indefinite. You don't know what's going on. Here comes Cal Peterson to slot in. Like what? Everybody's going wild. Like it's wild to think that these players are involved and there's going to be repercussions maybe eventually. But what a wild couple of days.
Right. Now, if Matt Casey can get things sorted out, nope, he actually just left us, so he'll get that sorted out regardless. But yes, so getting down into the thick of things here, the latest that's come out in regards to most of the day today, including yesterday, 5 players have taken leaves of absences. The 5 players are obviously Carter Hart with the Flyers. You have Dylan Dube with the Calgary Flames, and then you have Michael McLeod and Cal Foote of the New Jersey Devils. Now, the only other player that's outside of the NHL that is taking a leave of absence from his team is Alex Formenton from a team in Switzerland. So, and speculation will run rampant. Like, there are people that are going to say that, yeah, these are the guys. What's leading you to believe otherwise, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. Like, they're requesting 5 players from that team, and just so happens that 5 players are taking leaves of absences. I mean, one of my favorite shows is NCIS, and Gibbs' rules, Rule 39. There's no such thing as a coincidence, and they got to be connected. And people started seeing this domino effect, and I think it started Sunday with Dube, where he took a leave of absence due to mental health, I believe is what was cited. And then the next domino was Carter Hart last night. And then I think this morning was the Switzerland player. And then it took a little while for the Devils.
You guys hear me?
There he is.
There we go. Matt Casey's here.
Welcome, Casey. And then this morning, later on with Morningscape, the two Devils players weren't there, and they released their statement.
Right.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you just fine. We getting right into the thick of things here. I'm sure you're very.
I guess he can't hear us.
I guess he can't hear us. So, regardless, what we want to kind of get into is a few scenarios, I guess you could call it. What we're really interested in is obviously how this is all going to unfold. Now, London, Ontario police presumably are going to give these 5 gentlemen, not necessarily the 5 that have taken leaves of absence, 1 to 2 weeks to turn themselves in. And they're going to have a press conference that this is going to stream live on Facebook as well on February 5th. So everybody, I'm assuming, is marking their calendars as we speak already. That's something I'm very interested in hearing about, because one of 2 things is going to happen, in my opinion. And Hoagie, I'd like to get your take on this too. But they're either going to say that players 1 through 5 or players X, Y, and Z have turned themselves in without giving names, stating that until guilty, we will not release the names, or B, they're going to flat out come out and say this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy have all turned themselves in, are now undergoing questioning, and could potentially get booked, sent to court, and tried for these crimes. I'd have to think they're going to go the former and not release the names.
Right.
But again, what plays into that is the fact that there are 5 gentlemen that have taken leaves of absence. Now, back to your point, and I'd like to kind of harp on this for a little bit. Dylan Dube taking his leave of absence due to his mental health. Again, purely speculation, not going to minimize the importance of someone's mental health. But if that is the excuse, and he is, in fact, a part of this, that is absolutely unforgivable. I have no respect for somebody who's going to cry mental health,
right,
be a part of something like this. Like, that's just a slap in the face to not only the victim, but everybody else battling mental health issues across the entire world at this point.
Right. Honestly, I think that was just his way of trying to keep the whole thing quiet, because he was the first to go. And obviously, once the other dominoes started to fall, everybody was like, oh, well, this all makes sense. But yeah, I mean, shame on him, because mental health is important, and it sucks.
Right.
Hi, guys.
Hey,
hey,
Casey.
Matt Casey, how are you?
So, you know what I think I did? I think I put like the volume, or like I connected the volume to my microphone, and yeah, things got all messed up. So
Sorry, I was going to say, we could hear you fine. I'm assuming you couldn't hear us.
it would have been great if I just talked for a little bit and just said all sorts of inappropriate stuff.
You had to just get the hell out of here. So I'm sure you heard where we kind of left off. General thoughts in regards to how this is all unfolded. Hoagie and I have had our time. So if you'd like to take your time here, give us your stance on the happenings in regards to the leaves of absences that have been announced here in the past 2 days.
Yeah, I haven't touched on games or anything either. So.
We have not.
I think
this is the lead. You don't bury the lead.
I think you look at this from 3 different levels. One is the game specific level, which is the least important at this point. Number 2 is the organizational level, and number 3 is the potential charges / criminal level of this thing, which is probably where you guys are at this point. One, I think this has been a long time coming. We've heard rumors of it. I know you guys mentioned mental health. I have no doubt that this would wear on any individual. So I'm not going to bash Carter for that. But that
it wasn't Carter. It was Dude.
Yeah,
that was his main reason.
That was his reason for taking the absence.
Got it. What was Carter's? Just leave of
absence.
Leave of absence indefinite. Yep.
So in some ways, it's like, okay, it's finally here. let's get this
Yep.
going. The question in my mind, this is so effed up, but I'm like, do we see Carter Hart or Fedotov? Which one comes first? And there's a harsh reality to this that I don't want to downplay what the potential accusations are or the perceived accusations are, because right now we don't know what those are.
Right.
There's a reality that even if Carter was just the most innocent bystander and the rumor we heard was, hey, he was the one who actually picked the girl up and walked her over there, like, something like that. Even if he theoretically didn't do anything that would warrant a long-term prison sentence, this is still going to be caught up for a minimum of a year. We will not see Carter Hart again for the foreseeable future.
Right.
And not to mention his contract expires at the end of the year too.
Right. And hockey plays a second fiddle to this. Now, I will say this. If you guys have not seen it, and I'm not saying one way or the other, but I will not pass judgment after seeing the movie Fantastic Lies, which is the Duke lacrosse documentary. And I'm not saying it one way or the other, but what that did teach you is that you better friggin' reserve judgment one way or the other. I'm assuming Canada has somewhat of the same judicial system that we have. And, we'll see what comes of this. But like right now, Carter Hart's not part of this team, and I don't see him as part of the future of this team. And anyone who thinks this is going to be a quick fix or he'll be back, like, I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it.
Right. I understand the viewpoint in regards to how does this impact the team, and that should absolutely take a back seat to the actual investigation and the circumstances surrounding that. Now, being a podcast that talks about the Flyers, obviously we do have to talk about that, but it should not lessen the impact that something like this has on the hockey community, the hockey world. It's not to say that, what happened is any less than what happened. Like, it's still tragic. It's still incredibly sad that this woman had to go through what she went through, but
is still going through.
Is still going through. Correct. I mean, it took her how many years just to come through with all of this information, to muster the confidence to say, this happened to me, I want something done about it. And kudos to her for doing that, because some women don't do that. Some men don't do that. It takes a lot of confidence to do that. And a lot of just, we won't get any further into that. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So in terms of what's going to happen here, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, Hoagie and I did, but we're looking at a player in Carter Hart specifically that has an expiring deal at the end of the year. Let's hypothetically say, again, keyword hypothetically, Carter Hart is guilty. What do consequences, not just from the league, but legally, what do those look like to not just Hart, but the other 4 individuals that were involved in this?
I mean, I don't even know if I want to get into that, guys, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a heavy question.
That's
I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not going to presume innocence or guilty at this point, but all I will say is that Carter Hart will not be part of this team for this foreseeable future, and whether that's by his own accord or a league standing or the Flyer standing or just pure circumstance, there's a good chance he may never play in the NHL again, even if he is innocent. And I don't think that any of us can perceive ourselves as legal experts. I sure can't speak to the Canadian legal system.
Right.
I think what's more of the question is, does this impact his contract with the Flyers? I think the obvious question is yes.
Yep.
There's, defamation of character, or perceived defamation of character on there. And I think we need to look at this a little bit more of, okay, where do the Flyers go from here versus, okay, what are the legal proceedings? Because
Right.
that's a slippery slope that I don't want to get into. And we're not
Yeah,
we're not
No.
We're a
discounting.
hockey podcast.
We're not a reputable
Right.
news source. We are opinionated based
Right.
on
Sources are sources.
All
and
opinion
attic
based,
dwellers,
absolutely.
So
Hey, you're in the basement right now, right? I'm in
I
the
said
attic.
attic dwellers, man. Come on.
I know. I'm the one up in the attic. But regardless, so this will impact Carter Hart moving forward. Guilty, innocent, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Something like this is a scarlet letter that you wear for the rest of your not just
Yep.
career, but for your life. If you guys don't want to play hypothetical, I'll respect that. I wanted to get into it a little bit, which, hey, that's fine. I'll respect the boundaries here, folks. What I'm interested in, I think, the most here is obviously the results of the investigation and who the names are. But in the coming days, let's play a different hypothetical here, if you guys will oblige. What if more names come out and they're taking a leave of absence?
Mhm.
What if 2, 3, 4 more guys as part of the Canadian hockey team come out and are taking leaves of absences? What are we to think when that happens? I'll start with you, Hoagie.
I mean, it's connected somehow, right? Like, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, it's the 5. You have those that. I mean, if other dominoes start to fall, then what is there to think? I mean, someone's hiding something or someone's protecting somebody. At this point, I think in the original proceedings there was 8 individuals that were, or not named, but like specified.
Mm-hmm.
I could still see 3 more possibly coming. I mean, one of them is still in the Flyer system with Victor Mete, so you don't know where that's going to lead. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Down in Lehigh Valley. And
Yeah.
honestly, that 2018 Canada World Junior team was a stacked team. You had Cale McCarr. You had a lot of good names on that team. So, like, a lot of those players are on kind of be shunned against as well because, like,
Right.
I think honestly,
it's the culture.
if it comes out in days leading up and charges have not been filed, I don't know. I'm probably gonna regret this, but I'll say it throws a little bit of shade on the investigation. Quite frankly, that
Why did it take so long?
Yeah, why is it taking so? Why is it happening if they had something concrete? Which, again, like if there's something concrete, like freaking go with it. But like, you better notify with them. Which clearly, it's not a coincidence that these 5 individuals all did this within a 24-hour period. If all of a sudden they're like, okay, we have 3 more, that means that the investigation wasn't done as thoroughly enough. Now, clearly, there's been enough time to do a thorough investigation. So, I feel like it throws it just throws a little bit of questions on the investigation there. And I think the more tight and tidied up that this thing is, and again, I'm going to go back to this Duke lacrosse thing because that is the most cognizant example of what this likely looks like. They rush to conclusions. This doesn't seem like a rush to conclusions, and I'm not saying one way or the other, but like this, they've had plenty of time. This was rumored in the summer to be coming down, and now it's finally happened.
Right.
It feels like it's a little bit more calculated versus a rushed investigation.
Right. Like in my mind, they're specifying that there are 5 names involved. So I'm led to believe they know those 5 names and they're giving them the opportunity to step forward, which, okay, cool. Get that. You want to go down and I'm not going to say do yourself a favor. Obviously, it's not a favor, but you want to come through and say, hey, okay, I'm here. I did this. I was a part of it.
Up to it. Yep.
Fess up to it. Exactly.
I don't even think it's that, Derek. When they come in, they say you don't fess up to it. They say your name has been identified in an investigation, and it is your best interest to lawyer up and turn yourself in because we have questioning for you. And that's what's happening right now. To my
Right.
knowledge, charges have not been brought. And until
No,
those
they
charges
have
are
not.
brought, then, I want to, we all rush to guilt, but, it's tough, and
Right.
so right now, these are the 5 names that have been identified and have been said, you are officially a suspect in this ongoing investigation. It is in your best interest to get a lawyer and come in and do this.
Right.
I don't think it's an admission of guilt in any way, shape, or form, unless they come in and say, "Hey, yeah, I did it." In which case, why wouldn't they have done that? I mean, I know why they wouldn't have done that, but if they knew that they were guilty and they were pinned, they might have said, "Hey, we want to strike a plea bargain" a year and a half ago.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, I'm still led to believe.
Wasn't World Hockey Canada they did their own investigation and didn't do anything, right?
Mhm.
And then London, Ontario picked it up and did their own investigation.
Is that right? I don't know.
I think that's
I
kind of
think so.
how it fell.
It's like, the investigatory arm of Hockey Canada is getting into this. Like, who's that?
Right.
And
I think that's part of the reason why it's taking so long is the police didn't really dive into it right away. It was more of a Hockey Canada like umbrella thing first, and then
and so which way this goes, one way or the other, is Hockey Canada
screwed.
Yeah,
and
like, whether they're innocent or guilty, they messed up in it.
It's already they already tarnished their name. Yeah,
right.
And I think they even said that last year when Hockey Canada did nothing. Like,
it's like, what is that?
What do you have to prove?
Is it Betty the secretary in Toronto, like being like, "Oh, made a couple calls"? Like, that's the Hockey in Canada investigation.
Yeah,
It's a half-assed investigation. I mean, Hockey Canada is going to try to do what's in its best interest, and that's like
they glorify these kids.
Yeah, these kids are
They're
Canadian heroes, if you want to say. Like,
they're hometown heroes.
I'll almost draw
win gold that year too.
I'll almost draw the comparison to the flight logs because they drag their feet. The list is going to come out and doesn't come out. List is going to come out, it doesn't come out. There's implications to that. Now, finally, we have those. We have the Hockey Canada stuff. Like, people will drag their feet because then they find out, like, oh, who was involved? Like, oh, do we have to, hide this guy, hide that guy, whatever it might be. Like, there's background things going on in my mind. I'm thinking, like, okay, Hockey Canada doesn't want this blemish on their record, but they deserve it because A, in my mind, they tried to hide it, and B, their attempt has been unsuccessful. Like, it is now public knowledge that there are 5 people that were directly involved, and now they're going to turn themselves in, presumably. So it's just, again, for a podcast that takes things lightly to get this serious, it's a bit tough for us. But I mean, it's, oh boy, this is a slippery slope.
So let's switch gears for a second and talk about not something lighter, but like, okay, obviously Sam Ursan is goalie number 1. We've had a dog shit week in quite a number of areas here. Namely, that we're letting up minimum 5 goals a game for the last 3 games. We've lost 3 straight, and
Casey's frozen.
Am I?
You're good now. You're good.
There you go.
And I'm of the feel. I'm in that moment where I'm like, we're never gonna win another game this season.
Right. Yeah.
That's where I am, and what a difference a week makes. From the wailing of Dallas, and then that stupid friggin' Squirtle saxophone thing coming out.
Yeah,
all hell broke loose.
Jinxed it.
I blame it on Pokemon.
Yeah, I blame Charlie O'Connor. He's the one that tweeted it.
This is what this season, though, like, this needs to be a pivotal moment in the season to me. This is the type of adversity that should make or break a team. If they can pull through this, show their resolve, show their intestinal fortitude to get through something like that. Right. Christ. If anybody knows it right now, it's Danny Briere and Keith Jones.
God bless them, man.
Right, first year, and this is
not even 9 months in or whatever. Like that's
boy. But this is their proving ground now. Like they just lost their starting goalie. They just had a kid who never stepped foot on the ice for the Flyers say that he didn't want to and had to trade him away. Like that's unfortunate. You know, the whole
Tough 2
OTA thing.
Yeah.
It's a tough 2 weeks.
right.
But this is where the team says that's in the rear view. We're looking ahead. We're focusing on us, who's here, who's buying in, and who wants to be a part of this. And if they can turn that into motivation, this is a very dangerous team.
I think, you know, when Martinez was on here, he called it an inflection point. And I think that's exactly what it is. I just didn't realize that, like, the Drysdale thing, like, oh, I was like, oh, that's the inflection point. It's like, oh, this 2 week span, theoretically, this can be the inflection point. And which way does it go? Right now, you know, things are darkest before dawn. Like, you know, that kind of like cliche BS. But everything, including my mood, changes when we win. And we have an opportunity to go into 2 more games, and they're not easy games. Detroit's playing well, and Boston's the top of the league, if not the top of the East, at least.
Yep.
Right.
Play Carolina tonight, so yay, Boston, go.
Right. Yes.
And you know, I think they can look in the mirror and just say, this is not who we are. You know, this is 2 bad PR stories on top of 3 years of awful hockey. Let's show them who the new Flyers are. And I think this is where John Tortorella and everything that he represents probably steps into play more than anything else right now. Is just focus on what you can control and
shut out the noise.
Yep.
Shut out the noise. Do your thing on the ice. Be responsible on the ice and play our game. That right there should be the message. And there's no one better to deliver it than John Tortorella, in my opinion, too.
Honestly, I feel like we kind of should have seen this coming with the way they've played over the past couple of games. Because Saturday was not a good game for Carter Hart. They pulled him. Even Torts said, I thought we were still in the game, so I pulled him. And then, you know, he does the leave of absence, and I'm like, all right, interesting. Like, what the heck's going on? And last night they played like a very distracted hockey team. And I feel like just the news looming over the team of I'm sure there was discussions between teammates of, hey, this is probably going to happen. I just want to prepare you. Like, the team was just not on their A game the past couple of games. And yeah, they had their spurts where they were trying to crawl back into it, but it was just tough to watch. And like Casey said, what a weird 2 weeks, because last week when we beat Dallas, we were on top of the world. And now we just lost 3 straight, and we have no idea what is happening. Like, everybody thought coming home would have helped jolt this team into what we really need to be, even though we suck at home for some reason this year. I don't understand that. But like, going into Detroit, you need to kind of have a statement game. I know Torts hates that word, statement games, but this team needs to show their identity.
It's a punctuation game.
Punctuation, I like it.
I think it just in my mind too, like in the way I've been mentally prepping myself for this season, is that the bottom's going to fall out eventually. And I hate thinking that way, but I've been conditioned based off of the past how many years of Flyers hockey.
We're all there, by the way. Like,
I figured I didn't want to speak for everybody, but I figured that most of us, if not all of us, were there. Now, I'm not convinced this is the beginning, but I'm not convinced it's not. If they can come into these next 2 games, if they can beat Detroit, I think losing to Detroit just stokes the flames of this being the bottom falling out. Right. I can fathom a tough loss to Boston because Boston's a very good team. I can fathom that. Take them to overtime, maybe 1-goal game, you're pressing at the end. Okay. But if they drop both those games, I'm not here to say the sky's falling, but like this could be the bottom falling out on a team where it's just finally starting to catch up with them. They're just not that. They're not there yet. And Keith Jones on the PHLY podcast earlier this week mentioned about how they played such a great game against Dallas and even played a great game against the Avs, but the difference is that star, the McKinnon, the one star that can take over a game, and the Flyers just don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
They're winning games without one, which is great,
but they're very close games.
Games.
Yeah, I'll add to what you said, which I will say, if we lose both games in regulation, then
that's a killer.
I'm very, very concerned. If we take 3 out of 4 points or 2 out of 4 points, I'm actually okay. It's like, okay, we're limping into the All-Star break. Regroup. Let's see where things go come February 6th or whatever the hell we come back.
Yep.
But like, we knew January was going to be a gauntlet. And, I think the goal for this team in general is be in contention as long as possible. We're still in contention. And our division isn't doing itself any favors. We lost, but would I rather be in our shoes or the Islanders' shoes?
Never the Islander shoes.
Never. Jersey's missing Jack Hughes right now. Every team's dealing with it, and so it's not like we're facing. The funny thing is, and I was laughing about this because I'm a psycho. Dallas.
You prefaced it that way.
Dallas was. What Carter should have? No, I'm kidding. Dallas was the first time we've had a full roster in 2 years.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, Tippett goes down.
Gets hurt.
And it's like, oh shit. Well, that was fun for a game.
Hockey gods are up there just like this one, ping. This one,
tweak
ping.
that back. Too far.
The guy where God is sitting there with the sniper rifle,
from the bell tower. It's and getting to obviously the hockey talk here, you can sit here and say I think the Carter Hart stuff weighs on a lot of these guys because he's still a teammate to them, but you could also tell that weren't any, if any, well wishes in regards.
They didn't
to
want to
him.
talk about it.
Nobody wanted to talk about it, so I think I wouldn't be surprised.
It was wild. I stumbled upon Morgan Frost's interview, and he was like, I'm not done touching on that," and answered something else. And I was like, "Oh, Frost,"
and that's good.
What was that?
Wait, say that again. What's this?
He's
area?
Frost was doing the post game interview last night. I had stumbled upon it for some reason, and someone asked him a question about Carter Hart, whatever. He's like, I'm not going to talk about that, and answered the question a different way. And apparently a lot of the players did that last night. And I was like, okay, that was my first inclination. This is bad. Something this isn't just a mental health exit. This is something kind of extreme, and they can't talk about it.
Did you hear? I mean, Danny did a 3-minute press conference today, and I was like, well, that was a nothing burger. He ran a statement, and I got 3 minutes of Danny.
It was a half hour. It was already a planned press conference.
Oh, really?
It was just mid-year press conference.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. It was already
smart.
planned before even Carter Hart did this.
But
I think it's smart. No one's touching on that, though. Honestly, I think that's the smartest move.
What are you going to ask? And they're going to be like, "No, go to the league. Go to the league. Go to
right."
The league.
Even if someone wants to even go as far as to say, I understand Carter's taking a leave of absence, hope he's okay. And how people ramble, how people sometimes get caught up in the moment talking. Someone's going to say something. It's going to get heavily scrutinized, and they're going to paint that guy as a villain. I'd rather someone just say, I'm not touching this right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
Yep.
That's the best way to go about this, because someone says something and then potentially he's guilty. And then it's like, oh, well, Travis Sanheim said he wishes him well. You wish a rapist well? That.
Right.
That's the way this world works now.
Yep.
Right. I saw a bunch of jokes online about all these people wishing him well. And, it's like, like as a person, like right now, like I hope that he's mentally sound and okay. But like I'm not here to say like, yeah, oh, my heart goes out to him. Like, no, man. Like if he's guilty, I give to you know what's about him. Like,
Right.
bye. See you later.
But
if he's not guilty,
but
hey,
until he is guilty, like
he's
okay,
innocent.
Let's not pass judgment. Let's not pass
He's
judgment.
Right.
right. He's guilty and he's innocent until proven guilty. So yes,
Jesus.
I hope he's okay right now. If they find him guilty,
Yeah,
see ya.
dude.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Play
yep.
play on the highway, bud. Back to actual
But-
hockey talk, though. Yes, the Flyers have been playing poorly.
hold on. Time out. Did you? I will say last night, I don't think they played poorly.
I think they played okay.
Indicates that they played poorly, but watching that game, you ran into 5 players who are arguably some of the best players in like NHL power play history, and they lit us the fuck up. With 3 power play. I mean, one technically wasn't a power play goal, but it was a power play goal.
It was pretty close.
3 power play goals. I think we outplayed them 5-on-5, and I think. Sorry, Derek, I didn't want to ramble. Go.
No, you're fine. I think it's the
Honestly-
Ottawa loss that sticks out to me the most because it's
100%.
like
Ottawa, we
bad
played.
team played a
Yeah.
bad game. Like man, like that's the game you really need, especially Giroux. And you knew Giroux was going to score. And added bonus, Zach McEwen scored too. Like come on.
Nasty ripper too. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
And I'm like, I'm happy for him. I like Zach. We all liked Zach McEwen when he was here, like in that limited role.
Like a nice guy.
What's he doing this game? but you'd hate to see him succeed against
That's the name
us.
of our episode because it works on so many levels. He seemed like a nice guy.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
I don't want to get into another situation where John's calling me at 7:00 in the morning saying that's not a good episode title.
There's a reason why John's not on this one. There's no positive situation.
Right. No positive way to spin this. I
have a thing. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. Let's go back. All right. So we're talking pure hockey talk at this point. So we've lost 3 in a row. Torts continues to go on this 11 forward, 7 defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
Now 1 goalie or 2 goalies.
Kind of.
1.5.
It drives me absolutely insane. The defenseman Cam York said was like, yeah, it's tough. Like it's not good. And I understand the dilemma that we're in because you don't want to have Drysdale come in and be like, okay, you're now out Zamula or you're now out Walker. Like,
right.
But at this point, I think we need to. Walker had a tough game last night. I texted you guys. I was like, Walker, shit. Like he's fumbling pucks. Like
he was,
he's Fredo right now.
He was playing
meanwhile,
too much
Papa. And so I think we need to rip the Band-Aid off and go with 6 defensemen. I think Ristolainen should hang his head in shame after that hit against Ottawa. I was like, come on, dude. So maybe it's Risto that hits. Maybe it's Zamula. Like Zamula hasn't played bad, but I'm still not.
Right.
I'm not 100% there.
Risto was terrible last night.
Here's my in the early season when we didn't have an identity. What did we rely on? We relied on a really, really solid 4th line. Right now, we don't even have that because we have 11 forwards.
Right.
Drop the defenseman. Let's get back to basics. Not that I'm like a rah-rah Delorier guy, but like get Delorier, Paling, and what's his name? Hathaway in there. By the way, have you ever watched an interview with Hathaway? That guy's psycho. Like you look at his eyes, you're like, whoa,
he's the guy that spit on somebody. Like, yeah, I'd expect something like that from someone like that.
Yeah,
he's
dude.
nuts. Anyway,
Look at this
get
guy.
the 3 of them back together. Be like, guys, we're building around you guys again. Like, we need this. You guys are the foundation. We've got away from that. That is what needs to happen tomorrow night.
Right. Put Cates as the 3C.
Yes.
Frost is the 2C, Coots is the 1C, and then Lawton moves to the wing where we all think, I'm pretty sure he's better.
Yep.
And you go from there. I would
even argue bring Bobby back up. You guys know how I feel about it. Bring Bobby back up.
They're not
I don't.
going to do
Don't
it.
say.
They're not going to do it.
Yeah, no, I think over the All-Star break,
I don't
it's
think he
better.
will until after the All-Star.
Right.
Yeah.
He'd be better suited getting some time, some expanded minutes in there. But I agree. I loathe the 7 defensemen. I think it is that's why I'm not the coach, but I think it's a terrible idea. Your defensemen typically thrive off of having a partner that they work well with. And when that partner is interchangeable, you can't find your groove. Like you're going to say that, okay, like Sanheim is out there for a shift with Steeler. Then, 2 minutes later, he's out there for a shift with Walker. Then he's with Drysdale the next. Like, no, like if anything, your top pair should stay consistent. And your middle pair, honestly, should probably stay consistent too. They should rotate that third pairing, if anything. But keeping in mind you want to keep guys fresh. I get that. I don't like messing with chemistry. It's if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And why? I mean, is it a coincidence that we've let up 7 goals, 5 goals, and 6 goals? Like, is that what we've seen in the last couple games?
That is exactly what we've seen.
6, 5, and 7. Yep.
Yeah.
And then two with St. Louis, and then 1 with Dallas. Like what?
Right.
What
It just
happened?
it may not be a direct correlation, but humor me for a second. Like Sanheim and Jesus Christ. Drysdale, thank you. I wanted to say Delorier.
Yes, that one. I like that pair.
Hear me out. Cam York and Risto. And then you have Sealer and Walker, and with the potential of swapping Zamula out for one of those two. Is that not a solid 7 defensive core?
You gotta sprinkle in Mark Stahl. Come on.
Shut up.
Yeah. So they did have 7 defensemen. They did have 7 defensemen against Dallas.
They've been running for the past 2 weeks since we got Drysdale,
right.
dude.
I'm trying to
find.
find.
We can't do it for 2 fucking weeks, dude. You can't do that.
Right.
Right.
Like it drove me nuts when they did it. Was it last year they did 7 defensemen? It never. I feel like it never used to happen. Like occasionally, one time because the guy that got recalled because of an injury couldn't make it down in time for the game.
Right.
But making it a habit, I feel like that's an emergency plan. I mean, Christ, Sam Morin played wing. And you could technically say they
signed him as a winger.
Yeah, they literally played him at wing. Like, good God, put Walker at wing, put York at wing, and solidify.
Or just sit one of them. Just sit one of them. It's okay. Like, God's sakes.
Right.
I feel like we're being so sensitive with these fucking defensemen. Like, just sit one of them.
Casey, that's like 5 F-bombs tonight.
Honestly,
my microphone.
I mean, for the time being, I did like the 7 defensemen. Lots of travel, lots of game time. Like January was a very busy month for hockey, and we have 2 games left. Like it was nice because it was saving everybody's legs. But like now it's time to take the training wheels off. Let Drysdale play his full. Like I get it. He's 21 years old. They don't want to pile on 20, 22 minutes on him. But like that's why we're bringing him here. Like we want him to be a number 1 defenseman. That's not piling on. Like I know people are going to disagree, but like, come on, let's go.
I see both sides. On one side, yes, like he could thrive with more minutes. On the other side, he could end up just being overworked like Provorov and shipped out when he decides not to dress up in a Pride jersey.
I look at it from the other direction. Is okay, we may be spreading the defensive minutes around, but right now, like we're basically rolling 3 lines and maybe a player.
Right.
We're not rolling 4 lines, which the advantage of what we had before is that's what's
the 4th line,
4 lines going consistently, and when you're playing back-to-back matinees, you have to do that, and you can't get that done with 11 forwards and with 2 of them playing 5 minutes aside. You're playing 9 forwards at that point,
and that's the crazy part. Like, how can they let that happen when they're having two offensive players are only playing 5 or 6 minutes a night when you're running 11 forwards? That doesn't make sense. If you're going to do that, have all 12. Like,
I still remember how upset we used to get when AV would play guys for 5 minutes a night. It's like, what's the point? What's the point in playing a guy for 5 minutes a night? But again, that's Tortorella's decision. I think we can criticize him because we're pretty big fans, but at the same rate, it's like, dude,
We've just
a little questionable.
This is what happens when you lose.
We've
3
afforded
straight.
ourselves the opportunity
Right.
to criticize
sky is
him.
falling in my life, guys. Like things are not going well right now in the KC household because of these 3 losses.
Yeah,
I was
so
this
excited
close.
to watch the Flyers on my freaking birthday, and they dropped
I was.
the news
Oh, wow!
then.
Happy birthday, Hoagie! Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
happy birthday to you too.
I was this close to getting tickets with my kids to the Ottawa game, and thank friggin' God, I did not drop money on that.
Oh,
Like, not
boy.
even like the company tickets, like actually me out of pocket tickets. And thank God I didn't do that.
Wise choice.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. Covered a good bit tonight. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on here before we wrap things up?
Alumni game on Friday will be pretty cool.
What's that?
You're going to the game.
No, alumni game is on Friday.
Oh, the alumni game. That's right. Yeah.
Do you guys care about that?
Not
Not
really,
really, but like it's cool. Mike Richards is back. I'm happy
Richards
about
is
that.
back. You'll have a bunch of alumni in the stands on Saturday against the Bruins. That'll
Right.
be pretty cool.
I have a really tough time getting up for matinee games. Like, it's just I feel like for 15 years we've just tanked matinee games.
Yeah,
This is a 12.
I like it just because it's easier to watch.
It's not even a
like,
matinee. It's a 12.
Putting the kids to bed at night, man. I missed like the first 2 periods. I can only catch the third. Drives me absolutely insane.
I have like basketball and lacrosse for kids. Like I'm gonna be sitting there on the phone trying to score, but it'll be tough. But I don't know. I loved Mark Recchi. You know, that was my first jersey ever. Like, pumped he's going in the Hall of Fame. Is it awkward for him that it's like, hey, you're in the Flyers Hall of Fame, but it's like, you want a Stanley Cup with the Bruins? Awkward.
Like, we love you more.
Yeah, the Penguins. Who won it with the Penguins?
No, he won it with the Bruins too.
Yeah.
Did he
Like
win
fighting
one with
over
the
a
Penguins
kid.
too? No, right?
He may have. I don't know, but
Or was that somebody else? There was somebody else that won it with the Penguins. I forget who.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, Mark Recchi will forever be in my heart as an iron-on numbered jersey that I had at age.
Love it.
age
There we go. All right, guys. Well, then, with that being said, here, let's put a bow on it. Let's let everybody know where they're going to be able to find you, Hoagie.
Pod Street Host on the X app.
The X app. Oh, boy. I'm still going to end up calling it Twitter eventually. But Matt Casey.
I'm on Twitter at Street Casey, I think.
Of yours, Elon.
By the way, like, Hoagie, you posted, like, I don't know, some kind of like, hey, follow these guys today.
Yeah.
The amount, like, one, kudos
Oh,
to
my
you.
phone went off.
But the amount of like follow requests I've gotten, and it's like smoke show hot girls. With
I've been getting a bunch of
Thanks
them.
for that, Hoagie.
Yeah, I'm like,
I still
great
got it
idea.
apparently.
it's that great chin right there,
Wow.
Casey.
Oh, boy.
42 followers and 387 posts. Yeah, I'm sure you're real legit.
All right, man. Well, then you can find me on Twitter at Pod Street Bob. John's not on Twitter, so who cares? But check out our affiliates, guys over at Flyers High and Wide. They're on X. Sorry, Jesus, there we go. They're on X at Flyers HW. Our buddies over at the 5 Minute Major podcast too. They're on X at 5 Minute Major Pod. That's it for tonight, fellas and people listening. And as always, I'll leave you with a Let's Go Flyers.
Bye now.
Adios.